ようこそどうぞはじめまして
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. And we are going to do our best to earn that title this episode as we perform our most important, sacred, and solemn duty of previewing new shows for the new season. It's that time again, and are you guys ready for the GLORIO blog season 30?
We're getting ready. We're gearing up to return.
How many times we've done this?
Yeah, we're
almost
getting
as
ready
many
to
seasons
return.
as The Simpsons.
We're getting ready to return to the anime mines. You know, we're gearing up. We're checking our equipment.
Yes.
You know,
We gotta mine the gems to roll the anime gacha.
Every time we return to every time we go to the anime mines, there is never a guarantee we come back. You know, we our safety is of the utmost importance, and that is why that's why we do an initial inspection. You know, we're not going to the anime mines today, but we are, purveying the surveillance of the area. You know, checking the tectonic plates.
This has become a very specific and extended metaphor here, but yes, it all makes sense.
You got to make sure it's safe to enter.
Yeah, we're sending down the canaries. But yes, while there's no guarantee of our personal safety, nor is there any guarantee that we're actually going to dig up any valuable materials, but I feel like this season there's a couple things worth at least keeping an eye on, so we'll get into that. And before we get to the shows, just by way of introduction, I'm your host, Jel, and I am joined by Iro.
Still here. I'm here. Yep. Here for the
Iro
new
here as
season.
always. I'm joined by G.
So, in last week's episode of Grand Bell, now...
We're not talking about this right now. Save it for...
Yes.
Yes.
I was joking.
In 2 weeks, all the shows will be over and we can talk all we want.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sink this podcast with talking about the anime as much as I would love to talk about some of the anime that has been airing this season. We must get into the next season. So,
are we going to have to do an emergency Grand Bell episode after the finale airs?
No, we're good. We're good. Let's just.
All right, and then finally we have Aqua joining us.
Reporting from you live from my bed because I have an anime cold.
Oh no.
That
The
means,
Japanese cold.
Yep, it means I'm going to die a beautiful kawaii death.
Is your precious child friend going to come and wipe the sweat off your back?
Of
Carve
course.
a little apple.
Make me rice porridge.
You're right. Carve you little apple mice.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully, Aqua, you'll survive the rest of this this podcast. And thank you for putting together once again, the extensive notes that we're going to go through here on all the shows we're going to cover. So, like I mentioned, it is time once again to go over the new anime season as we enter the fall 2019 anime season.
Mm-hmm.
Our personal season 30, as I mentioned.
Jesus Christ.
Doing this a long time. And so if this is your first time joining us, we don't cover every single show. Otherwise, this would be like a 5-hour long podcast. So we kind of pick the ones we think are, I guess, worth talking about, somewhat notable, or we have something to say about. So yeah, let's get into it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to kick things off with returning shows. A few familiar names here. Probably the biggest headliner these days is My Hero Academia, which is coming back for...
Hell yeah.
Is this season 4?
Season 4, baby.
Gonna
After
finally drop Demon Slayer and go back to the loving muscular arms of My Hero Academia.
Yes, we can get past all of this fucking bad shonen and welcome the good shonen into our arms.
What are you how are you guys feeling about knowing what you know about from the manga? How are you guys feeling about what's coming up in season 4?
I really want that. So this arc has a lot of good stuff in it, but also was notably, I feel like it was kind of rushed towards the end. I think like the mangaka was ill or something, and
Yes, that is correct. He
like,
was
had
having
to
health
push
issues.
through.
Yes, during this arc.
So I'm kind of hoping for some anime original content, which we've gotten snippets of in previous seasons. But I want some like, here's what these characters were doing off screen. That in the manga was just like, oh yeah, they were totally doing stuff off screen. It was really cool. I promise.
Yeah,
I want
so
to see it.
yeah, this arc up ahead is this is definitely one of those times where I think we come to really appreciate how good of a job Bones does with the adaptation. You know, they kind of prove that like a good adaptation is not just a 1-1 recreation, but often takes its own liberties as needed to enhance the work. This is definitely one of those arcs where I hope Bones really kind of applies a lot of their own personal polish to this. You know, we don't want to get into this too much, but just this arc, for better or worse, is a little bit on the weaker side, again, because of the author's kind of health issues meant that a lot of like potentially interesting fights kind of got cut short or were happened off screen, you know, and it would be very cool to actually see those in action, because a lot of the characters involved in those off-screen fights were, you know, kind of side characters who fans had been asking to, you know, to get a shot, you know, for ages, and, you know, this is how they got treated, and it was a little unfortunate and very telling. You know, it's the shonen genre, so this shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, but the characters that got the most off-screened were the female characters, who
Of course.
totally did stuff during this arc, guys, I swear. It's just that we weren't there to see it, and it would be nice if we actually got to see some of that. But, you know, if anyone can, like, fix up what is, like, you know, decent but not up to the standard of its prior source material, it's definitely Bones. So looking forward to it all the same.
Interesting that traditionally you think of long-running shonen adaptations needing to like trim stuff down for the anime, and you guys are saying you want to expand it in the anime content. So
definitely for this arc, definitely,
at least for this arc, right? That's just a anomaly or whatever, but
So
it's usually the other way around, right?
is this the arc where they're going to adapt that legendary and controversial scene where Bakugo falls into a big pile of sharks and they are slowly tearing him limb from limb? And he reaches out to Deku and he's like, Deku, you're my friend, save me. And Deku just looks back at him and says, why don't you save yourself, Kachan? You're a hero after all. And then Bakugo is like, no, dude, you gotta help me, send help. And then Deku is like, okay, I'll send help. And he throws Grapes Dude into the like shark pit and they both die horribly.
I like your fan fiction here, Aqua.
Yeah, I feel like Aqua. Did you already have that pre-written fan fiction ready to go?
I mean, I wish that would happen too. I think they're saving that for the second movie, actually.
Yes. Actually, I would say, I mean, maybe for if there is a silver lining of this arc, it is that Bakugo is not involved in this arc at all. I think.
Yeah,
that's correct, Iro, because he's busy with like the other off-screen thing.
Right, because like in season 3, he did not pass the hero exam.
Right. Yes, because he was too much of a dick. They
He did
literally called him out.
Due to not qualifying as a hero in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, it was a rare bit of, like, we were getting way too into this, but it was a rare bit of self-awareness on the show and the manga's part, where like they were taking their like exam to like get their hero licenses, and like Bakugo literally fails because they were like, you're too much of a dick. Like, you don't have the right personality, you don't have the right demeanor to inspire and like save people. Like, you can't be a hero if you act like this. And sadly, you know, the manga being the manga, he just said, I'm just going to double down on being a dick. And they were like, I guess that shows...
I'm going to double down on being a dick, but all the fans are going to be like, wow, such character growth.
Right.
So you're saying he joined Orochimaru and went to the Village of Sound, and Deku will now have to assemble a scrappy team of minor characters who have not been given the chance to shine but are beloved by the fans.
You mean season 3 of My Hero Academia? That you joke, Aqua, but that arc already happened. So
yeah.
All right. So what else is returning next season?
Oh boy!
Yeah. So I guess we're getting another season of Psycho-Pass
Yes.
in 2019.
Psycho-Pass is back. It's never really been gone though. Like most people
You're
fell
right.
off the Psycho-Pass train after the absolute disaster that was season 2. Check out my coverage
Oh, really?
to see
I-
someone losing their sanity in real life, just like on the
Nice.
show.
Like 5 years ago or something.
Yes,
right?
but after that, they had the official movie coming out, official being actually written by Urobuchi and being like a proper continuation of season 1, which no
Okay.
one watched because it's an anime movie. And then they had 3 more anime movies coming out
Oh my
focusing
God.
on some of the side characters. So we're now at a point where like I cannot find any information, at least in English, on where the franchise is right now. Like, which characters are still in the show, as it were.
Mhm.
Because they're announcing this season 3 with some key art showing 2 new characters. And there is no information on whether these will be the new characters, like the new main characters, and this will focus on a completely different cast, or if these are just 2 dudes who will be joining the crew, and if Akane is still the main character, which is very important to me because Akane is like the only good thing about Psycho-Pass.
I would find it very strange that they would not put her in the poster if she was not still relevant to the.
Well, she's still a woman, and Psycho-Pass is the kind of franchise that mostly attracts fans based on having hot dudes in it. With all due respect, of course. But I can see them making that marketing decision to focus on the new hot dudes instead of on the established female main character. The point is, though, and the other thing that is mostly... this is going to be a new writer, so no more of that horrible hack who completely butchered the second season. But
it's still not Urobuchi.
No,
right?
it's still not Urobuchi. No, it is not Urobuchi. Yeah. It's not Makoto Fukami either. Makoto Fukami, being like his partner in crime who co-scripted most of Psycho-Pass with him. But
so, for better or worse, this is kind of an unknown entity then?
Yes.
I mean, it's a new writer, but...
You can take that very literally because, like, that key art is all we know about this. There has been a key art. There has been a trailer that is just that key art with some music playing in the background. It's supposed to air in fall 2019, sorry, on Noitamina. But there is no, like, promo video, no cast announced, nothing.
Close
just
here.
This late into the season, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if... I almost begin to wonder then if that's like a case of like that's the date they originally set, but like we are going to get a last minute announcement of like spring 2020, you know, because I feel like anime usually tends to lead with the PVs pretty early on. Or not early on, but you know, like
they almost always have them 2 weeks out, which is about what we're at.
Yeah.
It is a bit strange because Psycho-Pass is a Noitamina mainstay, and Noitamina generally plans their stuff well in advance.
Yeah.
Like they have their lineup ready at the start of the year, and it's usually pretty much fixed.
They might be either falling behind, or maybe they don't want to reveal anything at this stage. I don't know. But it sounds like we're basically
that would be
getting a re-roll on Psycho-Pass at this point. Is that what we're possibly looking at?
I mean, I remain convinced of the fact that Psycho-Pass is an interesting idea. It just needs to let go of its worst urges. And the first season had the problem of taking that idea, but like using it as an excuse to do a lot of like gratuitous stuff in all regards, which I mean gratuitous violence, but also like gratuitous pontificating and quoting philosophers and just trying to be smarter than it actually is. And the second season had the problem of looking at the core concepts of the show and then being like, I'm smarter than that. I can do better than that. So trying to turn all of the concepts on their heads and like break them and play with them. But as a result, turning the show into even more of a complete farce that is just
Okay. Well,
that is just a bunch of like senseless twists and violence and stupid
Okay. Well,
twists
you're
on
you're
top
not
of each other.
you're not instilling a whole lot of confidence in me for season 3 then, but
I mean,
I guess
we're still talking about it because Psychopaths is a show with the potential to be good, but has never really been good.
right.
Like, but it is something that is not irredeemable in my eyes.
For better or worse, for me, Psychopaths was basically just me realizing that, the 21st century take on like a very like classic anime mainstay, that being the like sci-fi anime cop like procedural show, like this goes back all the way into the 80s with like Bubblegum Crisis and Dominion Tank Police and Pat Labor. Psychopaths was me watching that at the time, was me realizing, the 21st century take on one of my favorite like archetypes of anime fiction is unworkable because of what 21st century anime tropes are and how they operate. So,
Yeah.
there's definitely an aspect I think of like, I love like anime cop bullshit, but Psychopath's brand of it never really worked for me. And I wonder if some of that is just kind of the reality of, well, this is what happens when you try to write quote unquote subversive sci-fi in, the 21st century.
When all the sci-fi has been subverted at this point.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll have to see if that's actually going in a new direction, or if they're. I'm gonna guess maybe they're trying to keep something a secret or something if they're not showing the PV. I'm gonna go that route, but we'll see. But anyway, moving along to our next returning show, we have Gundam Build Divers coming back again.
Oh boy!
What is the actual title of this one?
Gundam Build Divers Re-Rise.
Do you guys have any?
Are you excited?
Are you
excited, G?
I'll take your. I'll take.
There we go.
I think people have like witnessed like the arc of like my infatuation with the Build Fighters series as like, I've said it time and time again. The Build Fighters, the Gundam spinoff Gundam Build Fighters is in many ways like the platonic ideal of what a good kids show spinoff looks like. I think that it is, in many ways, it succeeded on the same like merits that a show like Carnival Phantasm succeeds, in the sense that it operates from a place of genuine appreciation of the franchise and a desire to evoke its most like iconic and famous and likable elements in a kind of recontextualized setting. And, kind of just the reality of once Gundam Build Fighters did well, Sunrise proceeded to run that franchise into the ground because, as is common with anime, the first entry is like good and fun and spontaneous because it doesn't have that much corporate oversight. And then once it does well, the suits come in and they're like, well, let's fix this up, let's turn this into a real moneymaker. And that's how you get Gundam Build Fighters Try and Gundam Build Divers and Gundam Build Fighters Island Wars, or whatever the fuck it was called. And
do we even know anything about this one? Like, is there a hook to it at all?
It's more of the MMO stuff.
Yes, so it is a return to the MMO setting of the first season of Gundam Build Divers, where instead of Gunpla Battle, they enter into like Ready Player One style, like, VR pods to, go to another world, go to an MMO world where they Gunpla battle there, and
it's spooky booky.
That thing is that the premise is not unworkable. I actually think that there is some fun stuff you could do with the framework of a Gundam-based MMO. Like me and Iro always joke that like they're gonna do a raid at Aboa Q one of these days, right? Like that's gotta be what this is building up to. Is like but it never really lived up to that promise. It never really used its premise that well or that interestingly, like to really show like how like not myopic, but I guess how lost this franchise had become. One of the primary villains of the first season of Gundam Build Divers is an old school Gunpla battler,
Right.
Like he came from the days when they fought on tables, and he's disgusted with what the MMO has become. Like there's no stakes to the battle, there's no craft to it anymore. It's all just zeros and ones. And the guy who is portrayed, so the guy who is shown to be the one who like still builds and customizes his Gunpla old school style, still battles on the tables with damage levels set to A, full damage to the Gunpla. Like he is portrayed as the villain of the story for a large part of it, and that is where I kind of realize, this franchise doesn't really want to inspire kids to build Gunpla or I cynically, I know that at the end of the day, all these shows exist to sell toys to kids or to adults, and that the customization is secondary. Like they talk a lot about the customization in the show because that's how you like justify the differentiation of the suits. But like at the end of the day, what they actually want you to do is just buy the kits. They don't really care what you do after that. But for the show to like just straight up call out the guy who like is that old school Gundam Build Fighters style like guy as like, this is the old man, this guy's obsolete, like this is not how we do it anymore, kind of made me realize this franchise doesn't really know or understand what was so appealing about the original show.
It's like they're switching over from the hey, look how much fun building Gunpla is to the more traditional look at these cool robots, don't you want to buy the Gunpla kits of them.
Yeah, I think that is definitely that is definitely like that's a good way of getting into it, is like because like I got into building Gunpla because like look, I like cool robots and all, but like the thing that actually got me into it was like the prospect of customization. Like that's the part that I really love about the craft, and that's the part that Gundam Build Fighters evoke. I mean, other than the very cool fights. But so yeah, so it's like going into Divers Season 2, it's like I can't get disappointed by it anymore. Like after Try broke my heart, I cannot like there are no expectations left to ruin.
Right.
So I will watch this. I'll drag Eero into it. Maybe a cool robot will show up. Maybe there'll be some good deep cuts. There already is a pretty good deep cut in that show already, in that one of the main characters is piloting a Wadam, which is a suit from the late stage Tomino Gundam Turn A, and was designed by none other than legendary concept artist himself, Sid Mead.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So for one of his suits to be part of like the main like 5 lineup is super weird.
Yeah, weird, but cool.
Just gotta get G Savior in here next.
I could kind of appreciate that if nothing else. I was like, holy shit, that's a Turn A suit. But we'll see if they actually do anything with that. But yeah, not expecting a ton from this all said and done.
Well, at least now that your hopes and dreams have been crushed, you can't be disappointed, I'm sure.
I'm sure the Hollywood Gundam film will be good.
Let's not get into that. We got a lot more to talk about here. So let's
roll the gacha.
Let's move along. We're going to talk about new stuff now. In our first block,
new stuff, quote unquote.
Well, in our first, I guess technically some of these that are technically returning.
Two of these have already had anime, Gel. These are not new shows.
I didn't make the notes, but we're blocking these together as we have several gacha shows coming in this season. So Azure Lane is getting an anime, which did not previously have an anime.
Off-brand Kankole, right?
Yeah, unless you count.
Yes, but actually on phones, right? Like this is the thing that I learned from our gacha podcast, is that Kankole is actually not on phones. It is a browser-based.
Oh, gee, didn't you know? Because approximately 50 people pointed that out to me in the comments to that Kankole post I did.
Well, that's better than the Hitler did nothing wrong comments, but that's another story altogether. So Azure Lane is famous battleships turned into girls, but this time it's done by a Chinese company, so it's the Chinese and American ships battling Japan and Germany.
Fine.
Oh, are they still battling? Like, okay, I did not know they were still battling Imperial powers.
Yes.
I thought that Azur Lane took the just the route of we're fighting nebulous aliens.
At least in the
route.
beginning, that's how it starts. I didn't get deep enough to know when they cross over into fighting the aliens together or whatever, but that's how they.
Well, I just figured a game like that would let you just like. Because Ken Cole's whole thing is like, oh, here are all the Japanese ships. Don't you love Japanese ships? So I always figured Azur Lane's like gimmick was like, what if you could recruit all the ships?
Well, you do recruit all of them, but plot wise, you're fighting the.
I see. Okay,
they usually run fast and loose with that in gacha games because they want to fill the gacha pool. But yeah. So I mean, I watched the trailer. At least it seems like a pretty nice looking production. If you're into Azur Lane, I personally hate the design. It's in Azur Lane a lot, but
I mean,
hey,
are they
that's
in any way
Or isn't it
different
just the
from the
same as-
Kankale designs?
they're a little more anime
Sexualized?
like they.
Wow.
No,
okay.
they're not necessarily more or less sexualized. They're probably about the same. I will say the designs range from 0 to 100% with nothing in between. So either they look like they're 9-year-old children, or they're the opposite of that. But and the actual like character designs, aside from the ship parts, kind of remind me of like more of a almost like a Mecha Musume thing than when in Kantai Collection it's more like schoolgirls with backpacks that have guns on them.
Right.
So there's a little slight difference there, but
I mean, at the end of the day, like, let's be real. What are we actually expecting from this? I assume it's going to be, with that gacha money, it's going to be like
it looks pretty
a
nice.
technically well-produced adaptation of like
Yeah.
the game's like quote-unquote main narrative. There will be some like fun gachas for like the fans and
Yeah.
like I don't know. What are we really expecting anything from this? Like, I feel like we're not, right? Like,
The trailer looked like it was some slice of life bits with some cool fights. So again,
Yeah.
if you're into Azur Lane, it'll probably be fun. Otherwise,
like the only difference between this and Can Cole is I expect that this will have like less in your face like nationalistic dogma. I assume, but
Yeah.
that's
probably
that is a generous assumption to make, I suppose.
If anything, like the really interesting thing about the show will be not the passionate battles of the warships, but the passionate battles of Kankale fans versus Azur Lane fans. To end this segment, I shall quote Shigetaka Kurita, the director of Kadokawa, which creates Kankale.
Did you hear about this?
Kurita-san
Okay.
criticized Azur Lane for lacking the sense of tragedy and heroism in Kantai Collection. He described the game as merely an idle action game with a fleet motif, unlike Kantai Collection.
Oh,
He found the
no.
greatest appeal of Kantai Collection to be the sorrow of the Imperial Japanese Navy, saying that
Oh, no.
one might cry while playing Kantai Collection, but not Azur Lane, which, as we all know, is just a shallow, idle action game with a fleet motive, and not a true homage to the bravery and valor of
no.
Japanese warships during World War II, respectfully portrayed
no.
here as little anime girls wearing swimsuits.
Did he actually?
so
Did
basically,
you add that last sentence?
Maybe.
So basically, what I'm getting here is Japanese warships, tragic heroes fighting against an inevitable a change of power. Gaijin warships are dirty imperialists. They're just shallow idols, not worthy of respect. Their sacrifices were meaningless.
I will just remind everyone in case I don't remember if I said it, but Azur Lane is developed by a Chinese developer. and that adds a whole nother spin on things as well.
So what's next?
I mean,
So
yes,
that's probably that probably is the
to
only.
imply that Chinese developers are not equally like culpable of
Oh, certainly, but
stupid
I'm just saying
nationalism either.
I'm just saying the perspective is significantly different.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's probably the only interesting story here. But either way, hey, they're gonna have an anime. It looks all right, quality wise.
Yeah, we should move
Let's
on.
move on.
This does not deserve any
Let's
more
go on to
time.
a good gacha game.
Looks like camera.
So yes, Grand Blue Fantasy is the tremendously popular anime, which is probably arguably more popular than the game at this point.
Let's not.
Is it?
I don't think that's true.
Really?
It's sold like huge numbers.
Yeah, but don't say that that's more popular than the game. Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess it really gets down to like, are you only saying that because like Grand Blue only seems small in comparison to the next thing on our list? Because I think in a vacuum, right, the Grand Blue Gacha game is quite popular in its own right.
I actually watched I marathon the anime season 1 for the upcoming season 2. I was kind of digging a little more into that.
You had to catch up on the lore, on the story.
Well,
You had
I
get
wanted
ready
to
for
see
season 2.
the adaptation and see how that went.
Yes,
But
yes.
yeah, I don't think even I realized how tremendously popular the anime was. And a lot of the stuff I was seeing was like people having no idea about anything about the game, and
Huh.
they just saw this cool looking anime on Crunchyroll.
I mean, in the West.
Yeah, maybe in the West, because again, the Grand.
I mean, that's in the West where the gacha game is not even technically legally available in America. So
Yes. So anyway, they're getting a season 2. Probably the most notable story here is that they're switching studios from A1 Pictures to Mappa, which normally for a lot of studios switching to Mappa would be an upgrade, but seeing the trailer for season 2, it feels like a downgrade.
Okay.
Season 1 looks really good, and they kind of have like this. It feels like a filter in some spots, but I maybe it's just also just an intentional art style choice that tries to emulate sort of like the kind of hand sketched, textured look of the game in the anime, and it looks really good. Like, and some of the animation is just like top notch. They really went all out on season 1.
I would hope so, considering how much money that that goddamn show should have at its disposal. I mean,
And the season 2 trailer looks okay, but it looks more like a conventional, just like normal anime.
I mean, as we've seen with Mappa in the last couple of years, like, yes, when we're talking about like Mappa, the people who made Garo, of course we're thinking, oh right, these motherfuckers, like these stone cold motherfuckers who could, animate these great, fantastic things. But Mappa as a studio, like they when they're not operating at 100%, I think it's pretty noticeable. I mean, we only have to bring up, last season's Dororo as an example.
That's only one season ago.
What a B team. Was that really one season? Or was it
God,
two
I don't
seasons?
even know.
Shit, I forget.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, we have seen in 2019 what a B team or a C team Mappa production looks like, and not to imply that like this is going to be a B team Mappa working on Grand Blue, but
yeah, I'll point out it still looks good, but compared to when you have season 1 to compare to,
right?
I mean,
it's not. It doesn't look as good, and it doesn't feel like it's.
If you want me to get
emulating the style the same way that season 1
okay, well then here's the other take. Here's my more cynical take then, is they saw how well the first Grand Belm anime did. I mean, not Grand Belm, sorry. Still have it on the brain. They saw how well the first Grand Blue anime did, and they were like, I bet we could do this just as well, but on half the budget, and we'll make more money that way. And
That sounds like an incredibly Mappa thing to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
And the second season knows that, like, well, we already have the name brand recognition, so like, do we really need to go as hard on the visuals this time?
I wonder if Cygames gets a discount working with Mappa at this point. They seem to be
Mappa probably are cheap because they don't pay their workers.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, nobody pays their workers, so that's maybe not that different. But anyway, I guess I will close out with my pitch for Grand Blue.
No, wait, Shell. I have one more important question.
Okay.
Will this season feature the infamous yet controversial scene in which that annoying little dragon voiced by Rie Kugemiya is in a tank full of sharks slowly being torn limb by limb and shouts out to the hero, Hiro-kun, you have to save me. And then Hiro-kun says, go save yourself. You're a dragon.
No.
Bye.
Hopefully they'll include the bit where he turns into like this huge muscular dude, and Catalina turns into a robot tank, because that did happen in the game. But I don't think that's going to happen in the anime.
I think the actual takeaway from all of this is that I think all of us we are more looking forward to that Arxis fighter than we are the anime. But...
Well, no, I was gonna close with my small pitch for Grand Blue in defense of it.
All right.
I think because it eventually won me over, because it is pretty charming, the game itself, and why that's how I ended up coming back to the anime. And the anime is a good adaptation of the game. I don't know if there's really enough meat there to enjoy it if you're not playing the game, but what I will say is, once I switched my expectations around from, us panning it for having this, generic basic RPG story or whatever, and it's kind of more of a, I guess, this very kind and nice, for lack of a better term, slice of life fantasy anime thing, and with occasionally throwing in some cool fight scenes, then I enjoyed it a lot more thinking of it that way. So I'll just throw that as my pitch out there, and I guess I'll check out season 2 and see how that goes.
It seems like a big change in approach, given that the first season was mostly about buff dudes in a diving club drinking a lot and walking around naked.
We're just gonna conflate this with every show that has like Gran in its title, huh?
Well, that's missing like one letter off, right, from Grand Blue.
Yes.
If anybody remembers that show. So yes, big change of pace from that. Anyway, let's wrap up with the gotcha talk with just a shout out to Fate Grand Order getting.
You're not going to say the full title of the anime, Gel?
Aqua didn't write it in here, so I don't know what the actual full title is.
Grand Order.
It doesn't matter because
extra super hullabaloo, which you watch the Babylon.
Whatever. It'll never be. It will never be as good as Rail Zeppelin Grace Note. So who cares? What I was gonna say is we paid the price. We paid the price this season. We asked for. We reached into the stars and we begged, please, please give us a good Fate anime. And the anime gods, they gave it to us. They gave us Lord El Meloy II. And what God giveth, God taketh away. And, equivalent exchange, right? So in exchange for Lord El Meloy II, which we enjoyed and we feasted upon, now we enter the dark times.
Right, so you're saying you asked Grail-kun for a good Fate anime.
Yes. It gave us Lord El Meloy II, but then said, but next season, you're getting the FGO anime.
All right, well, G, I don't want to answer this question now. I'm going to save it for after the first official episode of this is aired. But
there was already an episode 0, so go ahead.
We watched episode 0.
So after episode, I'll wait till after episode 1 happens. But G, I'm going to want you to explain why El Meloy is good and this show is bad. But again,
oh hell yeah,
I want to save that conversation for another day.
Wait,
I'll have it.
Now, two questions.
I can do that in 2 sentences.
Dude, I already got an argument loaded in my pocket after watching episode 0. Like, I'm good to go. Yeah. I have that argument ready.
Okay, well, we'll save that as the teaser for next time.
But yes, let's save it for next time.
Point is, this is based off the tremendously popular game, and it's specifically like the most popular arc, right?
So they held a fan poll a while back of which arcs should be adapted into anime. This one won for TV anime, so this is getting the TV anime, and the arc immediately previous to this one is getting 2 movies, which will be out later.
So
at some point.
Is watching this going to be at all possible if you haven't played the chapters that preceded in the game?
I don't know. I don't care really either. But like this is I believe the like climax of the first main story arc of the whole game. And so we did watch episode 0, which contains a montage of every previous chapter like happening.
Oof.
I don't expect much plot-wise from this. The trailers seem to indicate there will be lots of fancy animation and that they will be carting out various servants for like random battles. So there you go.
Stuff in as many servants as possible.
Load up your soundboard.
That's what I liked.
Exactly.
That's what I liked in the Grand Blue anime. I will give them a shout out for that.
Okay.
They stuck to the main story characters for the entire thing, and then they did this like thing at the end where when the final battle of the season showed up, like all these other characters came out to help, like out of the woodwork, and you'd only see them for like 1 second, like shooting at the boss or something, and it was like, hey, that's that character, and it was pretty cool actually.
Right. So like the way the story, we're talking too long about this already. The way the story works in Grand Order is that there's like the 2 main characters, and then every world always has a handful of other servants who are kind of around,
right,
as part of the plot, who are usually like the free friend summon that you can do if you have no friends,
right,
or whatever.
It's like Kingdom Hearts. You get joined by the
I guess
joined by the one character in that world, right, or something like that.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Now I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Fate, huh? Fate Grand Order. What's the full title here? Hold on. Fate Grand Order, Absolute Demonic Front, Babylonia. Not to be confused with the show called Babylonia that we're talking about later in this podcast.
Yes, there's a Babylon show later, which we'll get to. So, all right. Well, we'll touch base again with that when episode 1 comes out. But wouldn't be a Fate show without an episode 0. So if you're interested, you can go check that out now. Okay, so next block of shows, Aqua has dubbed the fall 2012 season anime preview because these shows all feel like they've come out of 2012, which means they're basically like harem anime.
Yep. Hey, man.
That's what we want to boil it down to.
At least they're not isekai?
Well, it's those wonderful days when we were complaining about just regular harem anime instead of isekai harem anime. The first one on the list...
It was a more innocent time.
Yes. The first one on the list is Val Cross Love, which is about this, I guess, some dude who is chosen by the god Odin to save the world and gets help from 9 hot anime Valkyrie girls. Who probably have to live at his house or something.
Yep, they live at his house, and he also has to make out with them to power them up.
Wow, this really is.
So that is definitely,
yeah. Dude, this ain't 2012. This is like 2006.
Yeah,
man. This is some.
Go back a little further for that. But so I guess it's more of a magical girlfriend thing. Here's a question:
What
is magical girlfriend just reverse isekai?
Not necessarily. Like it often is, but not necessarily. Like I would classify like Original Fate as magical girlfriend.
Like rather than you go to the other world, the other world comes to you, or
that's not. I mean, that's not. I feel like it's not inaccurate. Like holistically, it is correct in the sense that like these girls are coming from another world into your world, right?
You're
like
splitting hairs here.
But what I'm saying is like it is a slightly different fantasy because like here I would almost argue that in some ways this is a little bit more wholesome because it implies that you are inherently satisfied enough with the world you exist in, and the only thing that you need to really spruce it up is a magical girlfriend. Whereas Isekai operates on the assumption that like
Right.
your lot in life is so rotten you would gladly trade your entire like universal existence for another that is like handcrafted to cater to you.
Right.
So I don't know. In some ways,
Simpler, more innocent time.
maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not so bad if a hot girl comes through a portal and lands in your lap.
And you get
Who
attacked
can
by
say?
monsters, and she just like, we don't have time.
Kiss
you're
me
like,
and I'll gain
what are-
powers. And
What are we
fight.
talking about? And she just starts unbuttoning her shirts, and she reveals her ginormous bazonkas. And she's
She's
like,
got a glowing.
grab
You see, she's got a glowing
grab-
gem between them, and that's what you
grope
actually
my
have to
my
grab.
humongous tatas, and we shall destroy the monster. And
Yes.
they're just like gigantic melons.
Okay, let's cut this off.
And
Well, before
You're
Those-
talking about
those
you're talking about
shoelasers.
you're talking about the noted character designer, concept artist, and manga artist Raida.
No,
And his,
those aren't melons,
own
man. Those
original
are
manga
bananas.
series.
Alright, let's end this before Aqua runs out of words for breasts.
Yeah, how much time do we really? All right, let's be real. Before we get into the rest, how much do we really want to spend on these fucking shows, my guys? Like,
Yeah,
are any of these three worth talking about in any capacity?
yeah. No, let's move it along here. The next show Aqua thinks I would actually like for some reason, which is
Man,
are you really the
throwing shade
are you-
it
here.
might be a dumb comedy with heart. You like dumb comedies with heart?
maybe,
title?
but
Man,
are you really the only one who likes me?
This show is
Which-
asking Gel.
which I guess is a direct question to me, but this is a more conventional school romantic
shit.
comedy where two girls confess to this guy, and then there's this other like weird loner girl in the
Except-
library also in love with him or something, from what I could tell.
Like, it turns out the two hot girls don't actually love him. They just want his friend.
Yeah.
And like,
I was
only this like dog shit shy girl actually likes him. And he's like, are you really the only one who likes me?
yeah
Canned laughter.
yeah.
Um,
I don't know what kind of shows you think I like, Aqua.
yeah.
Look, I just
gotta be
needed,
honest, man,
to
like,
make a joke, okay?
no. You know what? I did watch.
I feel like this is revealing how dim a view Aqua has
Yeah,
of our
I see
glorious
how it
leader.
is, but no, I was watching the trailer, and in the first half, I'm like, oh hell no. But then they get to the wacky anime faces in the second half. And I'm like, okay.
The Jill revealed that his taste actually is
I
that
actually
shit.
do have terrible taste in anime. Says the guy who's still watching the mom show this season.
Yeah.
Anyway, last show on the list.
So I demand this entire bit of me being horribly accused of throwing people under the bus for making cheap jokes to be cut from this episode and my reputation to be restored.
Yes, in the end. you're
What's the last
validated.
show on
Yes,
this
the last
list?
show was Assassin's Pride, which I think, Aqua, you only put on here to make an Assassin's Creed joke, but
Not necessarily, no. I put it on
okay.
here because there's one thing interesting about this. So it's like a standard, like, light novel setup where, like, it's a JRPG-like world, and this guy is part of the Assassin's Guild, and he needs to go train this noble girl to be a new assassin. And if she's a bad assassin, so if she's useless to the Assassin's Guild, he needs to kill her. But what the interesting thing about this show is, and it's like a stupid petty thing, but it's a role reversal of how that stuff normally goes, because the main character, is like super skilled, and the girl is like worst but actually best.
okay.
So the guy takes the role of like, he is regarded as the best in this world at what he does, and he needs to be taken down a peg, which is usually the role that the girl plays in these shows. and the girl is like, I'm
Right.
completely shit, but I'm gonna keep trying and do my best, and then through some mad, weird trick of fate, I'm gonna
She
be better.
She uses her cheat
Yeah,
skill
yeah.
to be the best assassin.
So I just thought that was
I mean,
interesting.
I mean, that's a slightly interesting like wrinkle in all this,
Yeah.
but other than that, like, does this really have enough going for it to like
No, of course
warrant
not.
even like
I mean, it does
digging
look pretty nice
find
too,
that?
but other than that, yeah, I don't know if that's going to be enough to make it worth it. But yeah, I mean, we'll throw that on the pile come first looks, and I guess see how it goes. Yeah,
It's part of the gel block.
garbage show you can dump on me with my garbage taste.
The main character is called Kufa Vampire,
Okay, that's pretty good.
and the girl
That's a
is
name.
called Melida Angel.
Okay, that name is almost like Night Out like tier. That's like some Trigun or
Yeah,
BBB
that's,
shit right
that's
there.
pretty good. So we'll give him that. We'll give him that at least.
Also, the mangaka has the same name as the main character from Act H, which is a good manga.
Is that what the Kuga? Okay, sure.
All right.
That's just a little bit of trivia.
There you go. All right. Well, let's move along to a bunch of other shows we're not going to talk about. I guess we'll just mention that there are at least a half a dozen isekai shows coming out this season, and we are choosing to skip them at this point. We have not written any in the notes, so I don't even know what any of them are.
The isekai train shows no signs of stopping.
Let me go over them
Like,
real quick. There
you
is
think-
one
I
about a girl in a fantasy world wakes up and realizes, oh no, I actually am a reincarnation, and I used to live in the human world, and I wanted to be, average because I was an overachiever in my previous life.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go into the book one, which I was gonna say.
Yeah, and there is one where this girl
Yeah,
brings, enlightens these rube peasants in the fantasy world by bringing them books. There's one which is called The Hero is Overpowered but Overly Cautious, which is that's what the show is about. He's overpowered but overly cautious.
Yes. The joke is
Yes.
explained in the title.
And there's also
we
one
get
with
it.
a wrestler who goes to the isekai.
Okay, tell me more about this one. Wait a sec. A wrestler, like a
pro wrestler.
Like by God, that's so and so's music. So and so is entering
the show
ring.
is called
wrestling?
Hataage Kemonomichi and is about masked wrestler Genzo Shibata, who likes all kinds of animals and creatures. Is summoned to
His name is Shibata.
summoned to another world where a princess asks him to help kill magical beasts, but he gets mad at her for daring to ask him to hurt animals and puts her in a German suplex. Instead, he begins life as a pet shop owner in another world.
I'm looking at this key art, and it's all
Okay.
and various animal girls.
Yeah. Look, if anime messed up,
Okay, darn. Here, see,
go
I got
ahead.
excited here because in my brain I was like, oh, like a fucking straight up like pro wrestler gets transported into an isekai world, and I don't know. In my brain I was like, oh, maybe he decides to start up a new fucking like fantasy wrestling federation in this world. And I don't know, that sounded all right to me in my head. I was
Yeah,
like,
but
I would watch
No.
that, but no, this doesn't look nearly as good. No, I'm looking at this now as
Yeah.
well. No, this is
let's
all right. Well,
yeah.
like we said,
Let's just move
Isekai
along
train
from that
keeps
one,
going.
then.
Also, Sword Art Online is back.
Did it ever go away?
Is it?
Yes, it did.
I remember they had the
Yeah.
year of Kirito.
This is the second half of the year.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the year of Kirito has returned. Wonderful.
Our Lord and Savior has descended from the heavens once again
Okay.
to bless us all with his
Uh-huh.
presence, and no one cares.
Yeah. All right. So let's. All right, we're gonna do this now. Moving along. Let's talk about
Alright.
Beastars, which
Yes.
which
Let's
I don't know a
talk
whole lot about,
Beastars.
and I will turn over to you in a minute, G. I think that probably the most talked about thing off, right off the bat when it was announced was that it is going to be CG, and
Yeah,
but
it
it is
is.
being done by Orange, who are some of the best in the business, if not the best
Y-
in the business.
the
Yes.
good CG people. Yes.
And I thought it looked pretty cool in the trailer. But what's it actually about?
Oh boy, that is a more complicated question than you may think, Jill.
Okay,
But
well,
I'll try to boil it down here. So if you've seen the trailer, you kind of get an idea of what it is, right?
sounds like
It's a
animals at school.
yeah,
People
yeah.
at school.
So yes, like the very like redundant like comparison you can make is that it's anime Zootopia. Kind of, it is about like animal society, a society filled with animal people, so to speak. I will say technically, the author of Beastars, Paru Itagaki, she wrote a one-shot before this called Beast Complex, which was technically released 2 weeks before Zootopia did. So,
Okay.
by bare technicality, not a copy.
Yes.
I am just going to completely ignore the fact that all creative works are made like often years and years in advance before they become public knowledge. But anyways,
Yeah.
Beastars is a slice of life slash romance slash battle shonen slash societal allegory about a civilized society inhabited by like anthropomorphic animal people. But as you might imagine, as the PV hints at, and as you usually guess is the kind of thing they play with in these kind of stories, there is a cultural divide between carnivores and herbivores. The story primarily focuses on a gray wolf named Lugosi, who attends what's it called, Cherryton Academy. And at the onset of the story, a popular herbivore student is found murdered and eaten on school grounds, sending a wave of unease and tension throughout the student body. There's this in their society, there is kind of this like, on the surface, there's very much this like, hey, we're a multicultural, multi-ethnic society. We all work together to make the world better. But there is this unspoken
Right.
tension that has always existed because like this is a world in which herbivore carnivore integration is actually fairly recent. Before this, they actually kind of lived in segregated societies, and
So there's a lot of
there
room
are some
to play with on that one. In terms of
yes, there
real-world
are some
Like
growing
how
pains.
likely are the odds of this
Yes, there are.
inadvertently being a story about how immigration is impossible?
Well, so the thing I want to kind of get into is like, so anyways, I'll just get the rest of the plot summaries. Basically, like, so yes, it kind of opens up with the murder of an herbivore student, and then almost at the same time, Lugosi meets two other herbivore students, a female dwarf rabbit named Haru, and a male red deer named Lewis, and the three develop a complicated relationship. And so the thing to kind of answer your question, well, like I think you should give Beastars a little bit more credit than that. But I think that at its core, what Beastars really does well, it does a thing that a lot of things I enjoy do, and that is it balances a lot of plates, and it does it all pretty well. The initial story, the initial focus is like the murder mystery, but also the slice of life, and also the romance, and also the societal allegory of beast society. But unlike Zootopia, which I think kind of earned a fair bit of criticism for its kind of overly idealistic and kind of simplistic view of animals as a race parable, I think that Beastars is kind of much more comfortable kind of getting into the, I don't want to say dark in the sense of, oh, it's edgy, but like the kind of darker tones of how difficult racial and cultural
Yeah, yeah.
integration actually is, and like
Getting
how
into
it is a
the real problems, not just like the,
yes, like there's this idea that like both parties like that like integration of a multicultural society is an effort that has to be made by all parties. Like compromises have to be made by all parties. Like everybody is giving something up in exchange for something, you know, theoretically greater. And like how do society and how do members of a society like come to terms with those compromises? And
right.
I'd say that, like, you know, I don't want to say that Beastars is purely allegorical. I think that, like, good science fiction or fantasy, what it does really well is that it presents a somewhat familiar situation that is intentionally, like, dramatically different in some
Yeah.
key ways
It's
from our
it's
own world.
applicable, but it's not like it is still its own thing with
Yes,
its
yes,
own
like this,
factors
you know,
to
like
consider. Like
yeah, like it is very easy to like oh, carnivores must be this race, herbivores must be this race, but it's not like that because it kind of because what it does is it kind of the thing that Beastars does keenly is that it makes it very apparent in the story that in their society and who they are as people, their animal instincts actually play a very large role. It does play a tangible role in their personalities. Like all animals in Beastars are 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 slaves to their instincts in some aspects. You know, they are undeniably people with agency, but their agency is tempered by the very real fact that in their universe there are things that they cannot stop. You know, like they are still animalistic. You know, an example is that like in their world, like carnivores eat like, you know, insect protein based like food, and like they eat eggs, and like, you know, but there is this unspoken like tension in carnivore society of like the forbidden fruit, so to speak, right? Like actual flesh. And there's a fetishization of it. There is a taboo around it. You know, young teen carnivores hear rumors of a black market that sells, you know, sells meat, and
Right.
they can't help but be drawn to it. You know, the danger and the allure, and
Okay.
and like in many ways, it's like, you know, herbivore society is like undeniably prejudiced against carnivore society. Like in this world, herbivores kind of occupy the like, how do I put it, the status quo like ethnicity of
the
this world,
majority,
and
like,
they are prejudiced. The majority, and they are prejudiced against carnivores. But the story asks like, well, what if they were actually somewhat justified in their skepticism? You know, in a world where racial differences are like this, like, you know, like the story begins to get into this idea like, what if racial differences actually were tangible and kind of ugly to like really look at? You know, in a society where like mice and rabbits are just as like have just as much agency and just as much intelligence as elephants, and they have to share society with like crocodiles and lions and tigers and seals and eagles, and like what does that society look like? How does that society even operate? And
see, I think that
that's
is
kind of really
I think that's interesting.
that's really kind of the sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that's an interesting way to go about it, because it's a risk you take. Because on one hand, it could be interpreted or come across as, you know, whoa, well, people are just so different, and there are irreconcilable differences, and that means that, you know, living in a multicultural society is a pipe dream. But on the other hand, it can also, you know, get across this very human message of like, okay, you know, maybe we are different, but we can, like you said, sacrifice parts of ourselves for the greater good. And we can ascend beyond what we are in our nature to, you know, become something bigger than that, and do good for each other.
Yeah, totally. I mean, again, like, you know, kind of like I said at the very beginning, the story kicks off with Lugosi, the main character, a wolf, getting to know and befriend two herbivore students, and like how that begins to change his mindset and how he approaches himself in society, and also how they approach society as a result of befriending him. And I think that, like, yes, I think it would be very. I think it would be very easy for the gut check reaction to Beastars to be like, "Wait, is this story advocating segregation?"
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that actually it is. It is a story willing to kind of examine it in a more complex and mature manner.
Mhm.
And I'm making this all sound very 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 intelligent and nuanced. But I will also mention that Beastars has almost. I guess Aqua, you're the only one who's going to get this, but Beastars has almost a Fire Punch-esque sensibility for absurdity.
All right.
I have never read a manga that has so ridiculously escalated in a way as Beastars. Like, honestly, just talking to you guys about the beginning of the story is reminding me how mundane this story started out. Like, I had to remember, oh, right, yeah, remember when the murder on school grounds used to matter? And then, and then the Lion Mafia showed up,
All right.
and then
we should probably not give away too much of the.
You're entirely selling me
and,
on this, but it does.
And then the moths showed up. And things were never the same after that.
Yeah,
you're saying Mothman is in this?
Is this related to Hollow Knight at all?
This story goes some places, and I truly love it. It shows a willingness to not just settle into a status quo. It is completely willing to kind of upend it in some really interesting and dramatic ways.
That sounds good.
Appreciated.
So what do you think of the anime adaptation? How that's looking? Because obviously you're talking about the manga at this point,
right? So I've been talking about the manga this whole time.
Well, one episode in, we're gonna be like, "Wow, that CG bear," and then everyone will just stop watching Beastars.
Oh no! There actually is a bear who's a part of the class.
That is risk.
In Beastars, I know, but look, having watched that trailer, Orange, they do better work than most, right? They did Majestic Prince, they did the Gems one. I don't remember the name of it. That I remember people that people talked a lot about.
Yeah.
They have a good track record, but as always, after Golden Kamui so thoroughly broke my heart, it's hard for me to get truly excited about any adaptation. I think on some level, and for me, of course, me being me, I'm well, in a perfect world, Beastars gets adapted by Bones and is directed by what's her name, the first director,
Ria Matsumoto,
BBB, right? That is the perfect world for me. That is the perfect Beastars adaptation. But
the actual director for Beastars is pretty good track record.
Yeah, I'm actually not familiar with
worked on
their name.
Ghibli films in the past and did
okay
about half of the episodes of Rage Bahama Genesis.
all right, sure. I hope the anime is good. I really do. I think that I still kind of would prefer if people read the manga personally. I think Paru Itagaki's art kind of starts off a little rough. You could tell early on she's kind of still struggling with drawing animal people, but after a couple dozen chapters, she really kind of Beastars really develops what I think is a very eye-catching style. It's very it's very hand-drawn. It's very rough. It's not It's not this perfectly inked thing, and I think it works for the animal characters.
And seeing that translated into that slick CGI style,
CG is
sort of turns me I'm looking at these character designs sort of disturb me, and not in oh, this is furry shit kind of way. It's just this looks off.
Yeah,
hot bunny.
I don't know.
It does not compute.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing. I think it works better in the manga's art, where everything is a little bit more roughly hewn. But with CG being what it is, I will agree. I look at the Lugosi in the anime, and I'm that ain't my Lugosi.
Yeah.
Also, my Lugosi is way more fucking ripped, but I guess that took 50 chapters. So, but
so you're into ripped animal people, G. Please tell me more.
Yes. My fucking Barra wolves. Let me tell you about them. But But yeah, it's just I think I'd still recommend people check out the anime, especially if it convinces you to eventually read the manga. But
I mean,
I will never help but just be a little skeptical.
Having zero context and watching the anime trailer, I think it looks pretty good. I mean, it's still, you can still tell it's CG, of course, and there's still a little bit of that detachment from from watching it when you can tell that it's CG. But that's in terms of anime, that's some of the best CG I've seen, and that's what we're just capable of. So,
and I mean, it'll be an interesting challenge for them because, like, in the past, they did robots, which, for better or worse, are easier to do in CG, and they did like that gem anime, and again, like those designs were meant to be like intentionally kind of
very simple,
like,
I don't want to say simple,
yeah,
like
well, not simple, but like simplistic, like hard-edged forms, right? Like they kind of leaned into the like gem, like the crystalline nature of their character designs, but animals is a lot tougher. Like fur, like, I mean, let it be said that, like, fur has been the like, the holy grail of like CG technology for decades,
right?
Fur and hair, and obviously this is not going for that like Pixar look. This is going for the much more like stylized 2D style CG. But I'm curious if Orange. I hope Orange can pull it off. I really do. But if nothing else, I hope that the strength of the characters and the storytelling kind of still end up shining through. This is not a Golden Kamuy situation where like you needed the budget to like portray the action.
Right.
Like, Beastars does have action, it has fights, but like that is not a primary focus of it. Like, so as long as the characters look passable and the storytelling remains intact, like, I think that I'd like to believe that a large portion of its strengths will remain in the adaptation.
Okay. Well, that is definitely one we will keep an eye on then. And hopefully they pull off the look. Again, with zero context and nothing to compare to, I think it looks pretty good. So, all right, let's knock a couple more of these out. Let's talk about After School Dice Club, which, Aqua, you seem pretty excited about. Is this the Settlers of Catan anime?
These kids.
This is the show they made especially for me. Finally, I have stomached so many like cute girls do things in a club while the author lovingly wanks over whatever stupid subject it's about.
But now it's finally the thing you want to wank over.
Yes! Hell yeah! So it's just girls playing stupid board games and like loving rules explanations and all of their tactics and strategies elaborated on in full, and their hidden talents at bluffing being like,
I mean, wait, what kind of board games are these? Because like I was gonna say, like, if these girls are like straight up playing war games, like if these girls are playing like Warhammer 40K, like
it's like they're specifically playing German style.
It's an actual thing,
like the sort of
games.
The sort of like abstract.
Yes, I am familiar.
Abstract, like abstract kind of trading based games with a lot of like
you mean like those
blocks
fucking
and bits.
Yeah,
and,
like I said, it's the Settlers of Catan anime, right?
Right.
Yeah,
well, but like Settlers of Catan
basically.
is like tolerable. Like I have read up on some of these German board games that might as well just be like the fucking farming simulator of board games. And
also German, but yeah, they also play. That's the point. Like there's a bit where they play cockroach poker and where they play werewolf, and there's a bit where they play bonanza and stuff like that. So it's like kind of varied. Like they don't usually focus on like the big door stopper Euro games, because those are simply like they would like spend 50 chapters just explaining the rules. So it's
they're not going to play. Yeah, I was just
not going to play.
Wait, is this a manga?
Terra Mystica or something. Yeah, it's based on a manga.
Oh, okay, that's why. All right. See, based on this title, I thought these girls were going to be gambling.
Yeah.
After School Dice Club, baby.
Is that the English title?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Are they shooting dice or whatever? Which that would have been.
Yeah,
But,
like it's some
it is-
kangaroo shit.
It is like the sort of thing where it's like, oh, here's this girl who is super dumb and who always loses and forgets the rules, but then they play a bluffing game and it turns out that she's super talented at bluffing because she can play
So
really dumb.
I'm still gonna end up.
what's her face from Kaguya?
I'm still gonna end up copying.
Who is in the board?
Review.
Who is in the board gaming club? By the way,
My understanding is like board and tabletop games have been going through a boom lately in Japan over the past few years.
yes, I mean
Really?
everywhere,
That's kinda surprising.
everywhere.
Well, yeah, everywhere. Yes. Like board games have definitely blown up in America, but we're not going to get too deep into this. But I guess my assumption had always been that in Japan, the reason why stuff like wargaming and board games and such, like I am aware that there's like a niche, like, you know, Warhammer and that sort of stuff fan base in Japan, but my assumption was always like in a country as cramped for space as
Right,
is,
I'm saying like
it's hard
stuff
to,
like board game cafes are
you
starting
know,
to take off.
Right. Okay. I guess that does make sense. That makes sense. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, it's like finding the table space for that. I imagine could be quite difficult, but
All right. Well, Aqua.
that's neat. That's neat. I kind of like that. I like that. I kind of like that premise. It's
Aqua, I'm happy you found your niche. However, I feel like I would be able to copy and paste my usual review for these types of shows. On this
Oh
one.
yes, I mean I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do the exact same thing because this show is gonna suck. But
I've
like,
copy and pasted like that review like 5 times now.
I'm watching the trailer and I recognize all of these games because I'm trash.
Well, okay. Well, I'm glad you'll at least be enjoying it, Aqua. Moving along, let's talk about Stars Align, which looks like kinder, gentler Prince of Tennis. I don't know.
This is like one of those, you know, like soft focus KyoAni style coming of age drama show with like a sports theme. So this is Sound Euphonium, this is Tsurune, this is, you know, that kind of show. But it has the talent. Hanebado. I think Hanebado at least has the intensity of its like weird scribbly art. Whereas this is just like 100%.
I'm not sure I would put.
This is just 100% soft boys. But it has some interesting stuff. Like it is written and directed by the guy who directed Escaflowne.
Oh, that's going back.
Okay.
And
okay.
And Noain and Tetsuan Birdie Decode. So this is a guy with some clout.
Okay, that's
Wait, it's not.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing a fucking tennis
So
anime?
the trailer has a lot of like beautiful shots and good animation, which is like in grand, like I'm saying this is a KyoAni animation because it's, you know, let's have like a lot of money and spend it on like really passive kind of stuff. But you know, this could go either way because like this is a kind of show that operates in a genre that anime is so incredibly good at. Like we've had a number of shows like this, and they're almost always good, but never more than that.
It's hard to pull these off without being boring, too.
Yeah. But you know, this is like the just because kind of shows, which is just like, you know, we are wondering about our future and dedicating everything to this present, to this sport, and, you know, coming of age. Like this is a home game for anime. You know, this is anime doing what it does best. But the point is anyone still like?
Yeah, it's a lot of competition.
Does anyone still want another one of these?
Also, like, hot take, there has never been a good tennis anime. Tennis as a sport seems to be cursed when it comes to anime. There have been great basketball anime. There have been great football anime. Apparently, there's been a pretty solid soccer anime. You'd have to ask Chris about that. I'm not aware of that one. There's been a good badminton. a badminton anime had some good parts of it. There's been good baseball anime. For some reason, tennis seems preternaturally
Naoki
cursed.
Urasawa did a tennis manga.
Well, it didn't get an anime, so
this is totally different, because this is soft tennis, which actually has also gotten bad anime before.
Yeah, which was called soft tennis.
Wait, I'm not...
Right.
Oh, wait, that's an actual term. All right, when you called it soft, I thought you meant soft, like in that
it's
Kyoani
actually
way,
like they use a different ball or something, but functionally speaking, it's tennis.
Isn't TQ about tennis?
Is it?
I don't know.
I mean, TQ, like this sort of wacky comedy that has 8 seasons and that has a cult following.
No, I don't think that's about tennis. I know what you're talking about now.
Let's look it up.
It's a
I thought it was an idol thing.
No, I think it's TQ. I think it's just girls doing nothing.
Everybody here is struggling to try to remember what TQ was about.
I think it's just girls doing nothing.
The story follows the everyday lives of the 4 girls of the Kamedo High School Tennis Club. The series' focus is not on tennis, but on the wacky and eccentric characters with strange object associations and even stranger misconceptions.
That's why I don't remember
their
tennis,
many random adventures.
Right. So my point still stands then. If this anime ends up being good, still not technically a tennis anime, then it's a soft tennis anime.
All right.
Well, tennis in anime and manga.
I'm not getting my hopes up on that one. Let's move along.
Let's move on.
But what about Aim for the Ace?
What do we have here next?
Aim for the top.
Let's talk about Special Crime Investigation Unit Special. That's a lot of Special 7.
They're very special, man.
Which is the latest
say that 5 times fast.
The latest in the modern day cop show, but policing supernatural stuff.
Sure. The latest in that movie Brightbutt anime.
Yeah, sure.
This genre of anime has existed long before the Will Smith feature.
No, yeah, this has been around for a long time. I do feel like there's been a resurgence in the past couple seasons.
Definitely, yeah.
But,
it's kind of one of those weird, the collective unconsciousness of Japan, just decided to get back into this weird, subgenre.
Anything notable about this before we move on?
Okay. No.
I don't know. Is this our excuse to bring up that I wish Copcraft was better?
You guys still watching that, huh?
Yeah. I want to like that
it's
anime so badly.
3 out of 5 star anime.
It's just, it's just so fucking poorly made. That show has fucking non-existent budget. We're not even talking about trigger tier budgets. We're talking
we'll save that for the
what is interesting about the Super Special 7 is that it is written by the original author of Fate Apocrypha.
Oh boy, even more reason to move on.
Not helping. That's not helping the cause. All right. So we mentioned earlier there is actually another anime called Babylon this season, which, from what I can tell, is just a straight up conspiracy theory, political drama thriller thing.
Yeah,
without any weird
anime
supernatural hook thing.
It's just just the plot of a Yakuza game, but without the Yakuza in it.
Which sounds super boring.
This is literally about a lawyer who is investigating corruption by a pharmaceutical company,
a video game
and then
right now.
Stumbles across a conspiracy for election fraud and gentrification in Western Tokyo.
But there's no fighting or at least from what I could tell, there's no fighting or action or anything. So this is one of those things.
All right.
I always talk about my favorite anime can only be anime. This feels like that type of thing. Why did you animate
this? Could be
why did you just
a TV series that your dad watches.
And probably been a whole lot easier and maybe even cheaper to just do a live action version. Okay, it would be cheaper, but it would have been easier.
I'm not like I'm necessarily gonna like defend this show, but I think it can be. I think it is interesting when anime does try to do these kind of like intrinsically more grounded genres.
Right.
It because like of course like you ask, well, why don't you just do it live action? But I think that the best of anime still do things that like can dramatically recontextualize the story because of how it's presented. Like you might as well ask like,
Why is
well,
Monster an anime and not live action?
right. Monster is a great example. Or if we want to go to something more recent, Erased. Why is Erased an anime? Like,
Because
not
they
like
made a
the
live
time
action
travel
version and it was terrible.
Well, yes, there's that reason. Well, I mean, that's because live action Japanese television and film is fucking garbage tier. But like on some level, it's like you might as well. Yeah, you could totally ask, well, why are these anime? And I think that like the best make it work. I'm not saying that's the case for this.
You can do things stylistically wise and presentation wise that make them more interesting, and like you see the benefit of doing something in animation. I don't get the indication that that is the case with this show based on
right. I mean, I think what we're all really saying here is, what if this lawyer was actually an ex-lawyer?
Oh no, no.
A recently disgraced
What if
lawyer.
he
What
if he had a gun for a head?
What if he was a private eye? Yes.
Yes.
These are the questions we could be asking.
So let's move on then to another one of your big anticipated shows here, G, which you have previously ranted about on the podcast, but let's just
I've brought this one up before.
Yes, let's just remind everyone what's the deal with No Guns Life.
All right, No Guns Life. It is it's a manga by what's his name, Karasuma Tasuku. It takes place in kind of what do you think, a cyberpunk dystopia world, where people who have been heavily modified by cybernetics are called extends. Their bodies in this world have been so heavily modified that many of them kind of barely resemble regular humans anymore. Like, if you haven't looked at the art, like, I'd say if you've played the game Azura's Wrath, and like the way some of the like mook enemies in that game look is actually pretty analogous to like how a lot of the extends look, like a lot of like bronze or like metallic skin and like weird segmentation. But anyways, kind of at its core, the story is kind of what it's kind of what it looks like. It's a cyberpunk hard-boiled noir about a gruff private eye named Juzo, he's gruff on the outside, but he's got a heart of gold and a violent past, and more importantly, his head is a giant gun. He has a gun for a head. It's great. It's fantastic. I love it. And the kind of the stories are about like Juzo's adventures and the conspiracies he kind of gets himself tangled up in as a result of his line of work. And a lot of fun for me is, I think that, like, personally, I think the art direction and character design are really good. Kind of as goofy as the premise sounds of a man with a fucking pistol for a head runs around solving crime and doing karate on other robots. Like, as goofy as that sounds, like, the artist totally makes the gun head thing work. Like, it's a really slick design, and it really kind of sets the tone for the cyberpunk setting. It's mostly kind of pulpy cyberpunk noir, but like a large aspect of the manga is like kind of very classic cyberpunk tropes, right? Like cybernetics and their usage, the way they separate one from their sense of self. The way cybernetics removes your sense of being and removes you from your sense of being and from society as a whole. A lot of aspects of No Guns Life is about how the extends feel different, and the world no longer reacts the same to them. A great example of this is that extends smoke a different brand of cigarettes than normal people because nicotine no longer affects them, because there is no more part of their brain to react to the effects of nicotine anymore. So, like, they smoke different cigarettes that kind of stimulate the effects. And, there is definitely that kind of undertone of, like, cybernetics being used as an analogy for like veterans trying to reintegrate into society, since at least in the setting of No Guns Life, like cybernetics are almost like 100% purely combat focused, mounted weapons in the arms, chest lasers, armored carapaces, and well, a gun for a head. And like, so not only do they feel different, like they are distinctly different in appearance as well. They are kind of immediately othered by the rest of society. And a lot of the stories in No Guns Life revolve around kind of Juzo confronting other extends who have struggled and usually failed to find themselves again in a world where their newly built shiny chrome bodies no longer really have a place anywhere, and
type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and then also like the Juzo has a gun in his head and also a gun in his fist, and when he does karate, the gun in his fist fires, and it's very cool.
So does he ever
it is also
actually
that story,
fire the gun that is his head, or does he use a regular gun?
That is, he uses he uses his gun fist karate, but yes, so the gun in his head can be fired. The thing is that the gun head is intentionally designed in that he cannot pull the trigger himself. Another human being has to pull the trigger. And so,
yes.
Very hard-boiled noir, very like detective monologue of like, do you think you got what it takes to pull my trigger? And it's yes, but like it is treated as a big deal when he fires the gun, in the same way that like if you've read or watched Trigun, right? Like when Vash breaks out the angel arm gun, it is considered a big deal when that gun gets fired. Kind of a similar deal in No Guns Life, and at its core, like I'm not gonna act like it's that deep. Like it does play with these themes, but for the most part, it is a cyberpunk action romp with some like really weird looking characters, and I hope it's good. I mean, we've seen some trailers. It doesn't look as good as the manga art, which very much has this really great kind of noir black shading style. Anime being what it is, just inherently can't look as good as that. But
yeah, I mean, how often is that case?
Right. I'd say, compared to Beastars, this is not the one I necessarily have the highest hopes or highest expectations for. Like, at the end of the day, it's not like No Guns Life is trying to change the world. It's just a cool story about a detective with a gun for a head solving crime, usually by doing gun karate, and that's pretty cool.
Right.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Well, sometimes yes.
Yeah.
That's enough. That's enough to get by on for sure. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. And we'll move along to our next show, Kabukicho Sherlock, which apparently is an original show that is being described as a murder comedy, or I'm describing it as a murder comedy, where it appears they are
comedy,
investigating murders or something, but it's funny somehow, which sounds very much up my alley. But
I could see that being a pretty black comedy if played right.
Yeah, like I enjoy some good black comedy, which is hard to do, but I do enjoy some good black comedy and comedy with characters that are terrible people, which I kind of get that vibe watching the trailer. Again, since this is a original show, not a whole lot to go on, but yeah, it looks pretty fun, and I'm usually into those types of shows, so I guess it's another one to keep an eye on.
This director has worked on Daily Lives of High School Boys, Gintama, and most importantly, Dance with Devils.
Yes. Yes, she was actually the main director on Dance with Devils, which if they break out a song, I will be very happy. And also, Cheer Boys too, which is actually pretty good. I did not watch the whole thing, but that's actually pretty good. So, yes, she does have a pretty good pedigree on comedy. So, and the trailer looks fun. So I am cautiously optimistic on this one.
Sure. We always get a couple surprises every season.
Yes.
And maybe that'll be one of them.
This may be another one of those. This might be the actual show that only Jell is enjoying. as opposed to the other one we mentioned earlier. We'll see how it goes. But let's move along then to next show. I don't know or think that this show is going to be good, but the title's great. Rifle is Beautiful, which Aqua, I right away figured that was a play on Life is Beautiful. I know you put that in the notes, but
I'm not convinced.
I seemed pretty confident right off the bat that was the pun they were going for. This is another show that I don't think has a trailer out yet, so I did not get to watch anything on it, but it appears to be another girls' club show, except this time they're doing competitive rifle shooting.
What is mostly interesting about this is that it's animated by Studio 3 Hertz, who also did Flip Flappers and Princess Principal and Black Fox.
Black Fox, which we'll talk about.
Okay. I mean, I was going to say if like none of the staff were involved, then how much does studio name really play here? But
that you have a point there.
Again,
but I mean, we'll see.
Always concerned a bit if there's no trailer 2 weeks out. But and
I'm more or less just kind of like stunned at like they're not even like doing the Sabagebu like premise of like these are airsoft. Like, nah, these girls are packing actual heat by the looks of it. Like these are. This is like based on like the real sport of like riflery by the looks of it, which
that's kind of more the angle they're going for. That's a thing
you could do.
As sponsored by the Japanese NRA, but maybe we'll say that
as far as we know are not associated with the American NRA, but
they appear to be more of a sporting organization from what we can tell.
They are a sporting organization, not a terrorist cult.
Yes. So I don't know. I think aside from the title, I don't know if there's really going to be anything notable there. Let's
think so.
Move along. I guess Blade of the Immortal is back.
Yeah. This is interesting.
This is an actual series and not just like a one-off thing?
No, this is an actual series. They are going to do the entire Blade of the Immortal manga.
That's ambitious.
Is this part of
as someone
Amazon and Netflix's like we're gonna do edgy, dark stuff with anime?
Okay. I mean, I was gonna say Amazon is also streaming Vinland Saga, so that would certainly be a brand.
They haven't said that in the past.
I mean, this is an Amazon joint, so
okay, so maybe it does fit that.
Because this is a very 90s violent samurai redemption thing, right?
Yeah, kind of the for those who are unfamiliar, Blade of the Immortal, was this kind of classic 90s. Was it 90s?
I think it started in the 90s.
I always forget. Okay, 90s manga about basically about an immortal samurai who can't be killed and kind of his adventures, so to speak.
His adventures in killing things.
Well, yes, largely adventures by lieu of killing things. And he kind of meets a girl who is off on a quest for revenge against this group of samurai who have wronged her. And this is interesting because like Blade of the Immortal is like one of those like it is up there with like Vagabond in terms of like the manga from that era with extremely good art that are like violent seinen that I would never expect to get an anime in a million years. I don't know. Has there even been a PV yet for this thing? I was looking it up and I couldn't find.
There's a lot of
okay. I guess I couldn't. Okay, sure.
There's a lot of decapitation.
It's just adapting the whole story seems like a very ambitious thing to try, especially so many years after it aired. I feel like Blade of the Immortal is one of those that like you'd need like a super high budget and like a really talented crew attached to pull it off. But
the trailer looked all right.
It's fine. Yeah. I'm certainly curious about it, but I guess for me it's like so much of like Blade of the Immortal is like it's god tier art, like more so than any of the other manga I've talked about this podcast that have great art. Like Blade of the Immortal is like up there, like a top 10 contender for like best manga art. Like it's
I just have to wonder how well something like this ages in 2019.
Yeah, that's definitely the other thing. I'm very curious how this plays in 2019.
Yeah, and
So this is going to be directed by the guy who did Steins Gate, so expect a gray filter over everything.
well, that'd probably be
and it is written.
be appropriate.
It is written by the aforementioned Makoto Fukami, who is Gen Urabushi's buddy on Psycho Pass, who also wrote School Life and a bunch of Berserk stuff.
Well, that's his series composition, right?
And also the original manga author for Spec Ops Magical Girl Asuka.
Oh, that's not helping.
That's
remember that show.
I mean that's the thing. Is like Blade of the Immortal is edgy, but like like also like an aspect of its story is like learning to let go of revenge.
Right.
Like so, again, I don't know if I have a lot more to say about it.
We've never seen that before, right?
Yeah, definitely never seen that plot line before.
Yeah,
but just again curious to see how it plays out. But I wouldn't go in with the highest expectations.
Isn't that basically what every single of those like gritty seinen manga is about? Berserk and Vinland Saga and like Blade of the Immortal, like all of these like revenge good, but no, actually revenge bad.
I'm not sure I'd say that for Berserk, but
yeah,
like some of those seinen have stayed on brand in their like obsession with revenge. But yes,
we've certainly seen that angle many times in many in many different genres in fiction for sure. So, all right. Speaking of Netflix, I guess their show that nobody's even heard of or going to watch this season is Levius.
Yep.
I didn't even see anything about this. Aqua. What is this about?
I just selected this because this is indeed another CG show that Netflix is going to let die. The CG show is stuck in a big tank full of sharks that are slowly tearing it limb by limb, and it reaches out a hand and says, "Netflix, save me." And Netflix will turn its head and say, "Save yourself." But
I have to wonder if all those shows they're cranking out actually are being watched by a lot of people, but not the type of people that talk about it on the internet.
I've always wondered about that. Yeah, like
because I always see like these shows like what is that anime that I've never heard of before, and I run an anime blog, and then like
but I chose this because it is Levius is a show about mecha boxing, and I do distinctly remember there being a show about that exact topic making some waves last year.
Yeah, so I actually read a few chapters of Levius because I was curious, right? So yes, it takes place in kind of a steampunk adjacent like setting, it's like I think it's like in London or like not London or anime London or whatever, and they have like cybernetics, and so one of the popular sports in their world is cybernetic enhanced boxing, and it is about one of the boxers and kind of like why he does it. And I don't think this one works. Or I'm not. Maybe the anime adaptation will like dramatically change things, but based on what I read, I don't think it works in a way that like something like Megalobox did. Like the reason I think Megalobox worked so well, I'm not going to get too deep into it here, but just like it had this like hyper sharp focus and a real like sense of style and aesthetic to it that it like really like was proud of and leaned into. I think that like Levius, the art is actually like kind of good in like this very like surprisingly like soft sketchy style that I did not expect a manga about boxing to have, but that leads to like some really actually stunning like 2-page spreads. But I don't know. It feels like kind of like I don't know. It kind of has this like detached, impersonal feeling to it. Like the characters are not super well defined, and
Well, the anime
I
is CG and kind of looks bad anyway, so maybe that.
so
Thanks,
kind of-
Netflix.
yeah,
Um,
so yeah, I don't. I mean, even if it was animated well, I'm not sure this would be really the thing that would like drag me in. Like the manga, like just didn't really
it's
do much for
Polygon
me
Pictures.
other than its pretty art.
Their latest thing.
Ooh.
And it's like
Well.
all the same dudes. It's the same writer and the same director as, Ajin and Knights of Sidonia and those Godzilla movies. Like
Yeah. If you're gonna do anime CG,
Yeah.
you want Orange or Sans again. You do not want Polygon Pictures.
Yes.
So
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is going to be the follow up to Megalobox, but we'll see in a few
so
weeks.
if you
maybe.
find that somewhere in your Netflix recommendations in like 5 weeks, don't say we didn't warn you.
yes, yeah. All right. So we're gonna wrap things up by talking some movies.
Indeed.
Movies
Because
that are not
anime movies
Promare,
are a
which-
thing we have to pay attention to now.
Yeah. Which you
Yes.
movies.
Hey man, I mean by the next podcast you guys are listening to, me and Ira will have seen Promare, so you know.
I was gonna ask about that, but okay, next time on Promare.
Yes.
But this time we are going to talk about Black Fox,
Yes.
which we mentioned very briefly earlier, which is a movie by Studio 3HZ, who again, or 3 Hertz, however you're supposed to say that, who are responsible for GLORIO cult favorites Flip Flappers and Princess Principal. And that's actually going to be on Crunchyroll, which has been unusual. A lot of times with these anime movies, we don't catch them because they're theatrical releases, and it takes like a year before they hit the internet. So
right, they don't get streamed.
Yeah, so this
they
time
don't get simulcast usually.
Yeah, so this is kind of a rare exception for that. It is an original story. Speaking of revenge stories, I think it's something in that vein, right? With
it is.
I didn't
very much
Go
in
ahead.
the Princess Principal vein of a group of girls kicking ass, and whereas in Princess Principal they were steampunk spies, now they are contemporary ninjas.
They're like magic ninjas.
Yeah,
right?
magic ninjas, and it's basically just an excuse to have a bunch of cool fights set to pumping techno music, and I'm perfectly fine with that. This was directed by the guy who did, amongst others, Run with the Wind, which was a very well-directed show, and written by the guy who wrote Citrus, which, in spite of all of its flaws, was a show with some very nice naturalistic dialogue to it. It was always a big problem of mine, or a big annoyance of mine, that such a trashy show had such good cinematic production value. So yeah, I'm hyped for this. It has pedigree, it has a good studio, and another interesting thing that might be worth mentioning is that Black Fox will actually get a TV adaptation. So what are they going to do while the
Are we sure that's
airing?
Are we sure that's a TV thing and not a one-off?
Yeah, yes, that's true. You are correct, Hiro. There is going to be a live action.
Wait, what is
There is going
on
to be a live action spin-off, a Toku spin-off of Black Fox, which is a prequel set during the Edo period, so they get an excuse to trash the Toei Edo set. And it's going to be directed by Koichi Sakamoto, who is the famous director of several Sentai shows, also Kamen Rider Force, who worked as a stunt coordinator on Power Rangers for years, and who really loves putting girls in skimpy leather outfits and making shots of their legs. And that's exactly what we're going to get in this. But he's a good action director, so if you're a Toku fan, that's also something you can look forward to. So,
although I don't think that will end up on Crunchyroll or anything.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. We like the fate of the live action adaptation is sort of nebulous. Like Iro said, we don't know if it's going to be.
Well, you Toku fans will do what you Toku fans have always done for
But we don't
millennia.
know if it's going to be a TV, if it's going to be in cinemas, or like a DVD extra or something. We don't know anything about that.
Right.
So there's that. There's the movie, and
Yes.
Yes.
so
No.
there's not a TV
And
anime.
there's the
I've
idol
I've-
group that does performances with ninja stunts and yeah.
Okay. I guess as someone who was not as enamored with Flip Flappers or Princess Principal, though I really didn't watch the latter just because I didn't like the art style. This does look kind of interesting, you know. I maybe it's just because like fucking Victorian steampunk shit is like my least favorite aesthetic, so that's another reason why I didn't really care for that. But it is just like modern day like ninja bullshit. Like I could see myself giving this a shot.
I don't know if we would have cared if it wasn't for the pedigree of it for
Right.
sure.
No,
but
of course not. But I mean, Studio 3 Hertz have a very good track record.
They have done well with their brand of little girls kill people.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I guess I just wish they had a. I wish they had a cooler art style or a cooler house style. I guess.
I mean, Flip Flappers
like
and Princess Principal had two very different styles, so they're not stuck in that Kyoani sort of
Right,
thing.
right,
Like this
right.
is our style and we're going
sure,
with it.
sure.
Like they
Yeah.
also did Dimension W, for example, which was also a very stylish looking show that was a bit lacking in the script department.
Wow.
lacking in everything other than aesthetics.
You can lay
yes.
that on the at the feet of the manga creator. I feel
Yeah.
like
Just the original source material.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the other stuff was original, right? Was Princess Principal was original, right?
it was.
The anime original? Yeah. Okay. So we'll keep an eye on that one whenever that hits Crunchyroll. And finally, this wouldn't be a GLORIO blog podcast without mentioning Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Aqua, can you remind us again, because it's been a
yeah.
while, how we actually pronounce the...
Die Neue These.
DNT.
So we'll continue to
The
refer to
new
it as
one.
DNT is returning in a series of movies broken up into episodes.
Gosh, I can't wait to find out what happens
so
at the end of season 1 of Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Oh yeah. Will Yang prevail at the Battle of Amlet, sir? Who can say?
Yeah.
Will Binfield fucking fuck up like an idiot, like he always does? But
I guess the only question
this is interesting.
is like,
Yeah.
how far are they going to go at this point? Because we already know what happens because we've been watching the original OVA now. But
Yeah. Well, the other thing I want to point out, right? So it is a series of movies, but is this another one where Crunchyroll is going to be airing
I
it?
believe
as,
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So each
much
movie
split
is
up episodes.
is the length
so-
of 4 episodes.
Right.
They're making 3
Right.
movies, I think, so they have another 12 episode season that Crunchyroll is going to
Okay,
air as a 12
Right,
episode season.
right.
Much like how they
Okay.
handled like
So that means
Digimon,
the-
Adventure Try.
Yeah. So I guess I imagine that means that the
Yamato.
version we will. So I guess what I meant is that the version we will all likely end up watching is then that episodic version rather than
Yeah.
the movies, considering that's what Crunchyroll has decided to air. But yeah, I mean, with 12 episodes, I don't think they're going to get far. Did you guys watch the latest PV?
where they just dump like 20 characters.
Yeah,
it was
like
last
turns out
time
one of
I
them is
saw.
Bogdashu.
Yes.
Like
I didn't know this because it was in
So-
Japanese, but
con-
that dude doesn't look like Bogdashu at all.
considering the pace of the first season of Genoa Teze, this will probably that was about half of season 1 of the OVA of Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Yes.
I see no reason to not think that this will end up where season 1 ends.
Yes, I think that because in that latest PV they also show the coup in the FPA. They show Bogdashu. They show the Lipstadt League. So yeah, obviously we're not going to spoil anything here, but we suspect that then that DNT will end with the
The end of season 1.
the climactic events of the end of season 1.
If you want to find out more, listen to our other podcasts.
Yes,
The-
yes.
the
I'm
only-
going to keep this as vague as possible. Do you think they're still going to you think he's still going to dig a bazooka out of you
Sure,
know,
why not?
like
I don't care.
you think they're still gonna do that?
Sure.
Like, is he still gonna have the laser ring?
Has that ex-murder
I-
scene happened yet in Die Neue These?
No.
No, that's the other
They
thing,
cut
right?
out
No
the
axe
axe
murder
murder,
they cut out the like. But here's the thing: they can't cut it out forever, right? Like, there's so much axe murder in the original
Somebody
OVA.
has
like,
to be killed with an axe at some point. Yes,
I guess we'll
definitely.
find out.
like they
The only good thing
But,
that has come out of this adaptation is casting Kana Hanazawa as Hildegard von Mariendorf.
yes,
That is
that's
the only
very.
thing I like about this. Other than that,
That is.
I have not been feeling the new adaptation.
I mean, yeah, we don't want to get into it here, but yes, the DNT adaptation is adequate, but it is, probably not the version I would recommend. But I think that on some level, for those of us who are watching the original OVA, I think I still want to check out DNT because I think it is interesting to see like what events do they focus on, what do they cut out, but also what do they add. Like there are definitely conversations that were added to DNT that were not in the OVA, and it's like sometimes that can be an interesting thing to watch.
Right.
Okay.
Now you can
All right.
watch all of your epic discussions in space combat backed by Hiroyuki Sawano.
In HD.
Yes, backed by a Sawano soundtrack.
Yes, we'll Sawano do the second OP as well. Remains to be seen.
All right.
I think we're all super tired.
So
Yeah.
that'll do it for this episode then. We've covered everything. We'll touch base with these shows again after we do our flurry of first looks, and I think that's going to
will come after.
Yeah, I think that's going to end up getting broken up because the next time we do the first looks, not everything will have aired yet, but we'll have plenty to talk about, I'm sure.
Well, next podcast will be our final thoughts for this season.
Yes.
And then
So I'm talking
2 weeks
after that.
Yes.
After that, still everything will not have aired yet.
Really,
So,
still not. Wow.
Yeah, I was looking at the calendar, so
Huh,
we're not.
okay.
So we're going to be, but we've been running fast and loose with our episodes in between, the previews and whatnot. So we'll find plenty to talk about one way or the other.
There's so much anime, no one should watch
Let's
it.
do our yes. So let's just wrap up with our regular housekeeping. Check out all our stuff at theglorioblog.com. You can follow us on Twitter at theglorioblog. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, and you can check out our uploads on YouTube. That includes our other podcasts, which are the Legend of the GLORIO Heroes, which we've just referenced. You can check out with Iroh and G, talking about Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and GLORIO's King of the Kaiju with Chris and Collins, which another episode will be out by the time this comes out. So go check that out. And that's it. So we'll see everybody next time.
See you later.
It started snowing. Time to die.